Hello. So today's session is to do with constructions. So we're going to need our ruler, going to need a compass and a pen. Now we only need the ruler as a straight edge. We're not going to measure anything today. What we're going to do is a series of what we call constructions. So first one we're going to do is something that we call a perpendicular bisector. Okay. And what that means is, well, perpendicular is right angles, and bisector means we're going to cut it in half. So we're going to cut that line exactly in half at right angles. And if they've asked you to construct it, do not use a protractor. Don't use your ruler to measure out and things like that. We need to use the compass to do it. Okay. So to do that, they've given us a line, and we're going to chop that in half. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open up my compass. I'll put point at one end of the line. I'm going to open it up to about 2/3, 3/4 of the way across that line, and then I'm going to draw an arc above and below. Notice I'm holding the compass at the top, so I'm not touching either of these arms. Now what I can do, without changing that distance, I'm now going to do the same from this end of the line. I'm going to do an arc from below to above. And what we see when I take those away is two arcs, and they intersect here and here. So this point and this point. And what we know is this point is an equal distance away from this end and this end, and likewise this point is an equal distance away from that end and that end. So if I take my ruler and I line up those two intersections and I draw a line through both, okay, our line will be directly in the middle of our horizontal line, and it will be at right angles. Okay, so we will have that right angle there. Okay, so there we have split that line perfectly in half. And the one thing that they want us to see, if they say construct, they want to see what we call the construction marks. So don't be tempted to rub those out. Okay, we need to keep them where they are. Okay. So that's the first one, and that's one of the simpler ones. The next one, just as simple, is an angle bisector. So again, bisector, we're going to cut it in half. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut this angle perfectly in half. Now, if we do a similar kind of thing from the end of each of these lines, we won't end up with it split in half, because the distance from here to here is different to the distance from here to here. We can see this line is longer. So what we do, similar kind of thing, we put point on the end there, and again about 2/3, 3/4 of the way along, and I'm going to draw an arc that goes across both lines. Okay, now did you see the way that compass slipped then? That happens sometimes, so we've just got to be careful of it. So the line we're using is this outer line. You can see where the compass slipped. Okay, it's possible. It's not the end of the world, and I don't need, if I had the rubber I could rub that one out, but I'm not worried about it. It's this point here and this point here I'm interested in, because the distance from here to here is the same as from here to here. Okay, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to use it at the same measurement. Okay, so I'm now going to put the point where the arc crosses the top line. I'm going to draw another arc, and then I'm going to do the same from where the arc crosses the bottom line. Okay, and that's going to come up, and where they cross right here is an equal distance from there and there. So if we now take our ruler and we line up that point with the center of our angle, and I draw my line now, that line should be exactly in the middle. Okay, and again, leave the construction marks. Even leave that one. As we say, that first bit was a bit of a mistake, wasn't it? We could have got away with it because of where it slipped, but it's fine. Okay, so that was number 2. That was our angle bisector. Okay, nice and simple. So then number 3. So we've got the perpendicular from a point to a line. And what that means is that we're going to have a perpendicular line. So the same thing, the perpendicular bisector, but it's going to go through that line now. So it's not going to split that line in half. It's going to go directly through the middle of there. Now when you look at these, the distance from here to this end of the line is more than from here to this end of the line. So that means I can't use the ends like we did on the first one, the perpendicular bisector, because we will end up with our line being off center, being about there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use compass again. I'm going to set it up on the X and approximately the same distance as the end of the line. Only this time what we're going to do is I'm going to draw a line underneath and then back through. So what we've got now are 2 points, okay, where it crosses. And again, from there to there and there to there are an equal distance. So now we can draw our bisector from there, okay? So if I go from there to there, and I'm even using the same measurement at the moment, okay? Because if I do that, it goes through the X and then goes through down below the line, and I do the same from where it crosses, that first arc crosses over, and again, when I go up, it comes through the X and then down. Notice I'm just having a little bit of trouble because I've got a camera in my way. And we've got, again, the intersections above and below. So now, when I put my mark through those, okay, we should have a right angled line that goes through the X and through our line, okay? So it's a perpendicular right angled line from a point to the line, and it goes all the way through, okay? That's number 3. So that would lead us obviously onto number 4, and that one, same idea, but now we've got the perpendicular through a point on a line. So now instead of being up and above, it's now there, but the same approach applies. From there to there is a different distance than from there to there. So when I look at it, I can see that this is the shorter distance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my compass point on the X, and I'm going to bring in my compass so it's not quite to the end of the line, but it's close to it. And all I do then is I make a small arc through that line on this side, and then without changing anything, I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay? And that means, again, from there to there is exactly the same as from there to there. They are equidistant. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use those marks to make our perpendicular bisector. I keep saying perpendicular bisector because it's a perpendicular line, but obviously it's going to split through the X, not the line in half. So if I line up my pointer on there, and again 2/3 to 3/4 of the way across to here, I'm going to do my arc from below to above on that one, and then I'm going to match it on the other side, put my point on that intersection, and again from below to above, not pressing too hard on the compass, because again if we do that it's likely to move, and we can see straight away that as where our intersections are, here and here, if we draw our line from one intersection to the other, we have that right angle line that passes through the X on there. Okay, so that was perpendicular through a point on a line, perpendicular from a point to a line, our angle bisector, and our first one, which was the most basic, which was a perpendicular bisector. Okay, and again, remember, each and every one, if they ask you to construct it, they may use the compass and leave the lines on the drawing. Okay, good luck.